and welcome to Open Up with Sarah. Today I've got a veteran with me. He needs no introduction. I mean, he moved from Nollywood bad boy to superstar actor to director to executive producer. I'm talking about none other than Jimai.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And yeah, we're talking Bad Comments, the movie. First off, big congratulations on that project.
Thank you, darling. Thank you so much.
Like you said, off air, your biggest project so far.
Yes, it is.
So how did that come about?
We needed, I needed to create something that lacked the habitual or traditional, for lack of a better term, reference. You can tell, okay, that's a Bollywood film, a Hollywood film, or a Nollywood film. It's always been the how it's categorized.
Yeah.
So I wanted a common denominator, something that will resonate with every divide and yet no divide.
Yeah.
Okay, so that what we wanted to create was, I needed a subject matter that will resonate with anybody, irrespective of gender, age, race, political or religious affiliations or creed. But that is the really difficult task of creating something that was that common denominator. And after a while, it came to me that this space, that internet space, the social media space, is one that obviously denotes a common, habitual area for anybody between the ages of 2 to 90. You will find yourself in that space, directly and indirectly. And so we had to weave a story around it. And that's basically how Bad Comment came to be. We had to find something that could resonate with everybody.
Are you going to tell me that you've never done anything with that girl before?
I had that girl for 6 months.
Let's talk about Nollywood. Like I was saying earlier, that it's not news anymore that Nollywood is one of the biggest movie industries in the world. I mean, from Hollywood to Bollywood to Nollywood. But then we can see how accepted Afrobeat has become. Afrobeat, we're talking Nigerian music industry. I mean, we're seeing artists win Grammys, we're seeing artists come up on the Billboard Hot 100. But then, looking at the equivalent of Grammys abroad, we're talking about...
It's a different art form.
Yes, we're talking about the Oscars and the rest.
It's a different art form, my dear. Seriously, I've had this argument even with my dad up until 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
The process of creation for both is entirely different. While one can thrive digitally, people can sit in their studios, exchange, content with the biggest artists in the world, as long as there's an understanding and things will flow seamlessly. It can't happen to our world. Our world means there's a definite paradigm that needs a shift.
Okay.
A physical shift where you have to bring me into this space, bring another person into this space to create this art form. That is more difficult.
Yeah.
Okay. So, especially with our part of the divide where you're dealing with so many things. First of all, a government that is not even supportive of what we're doing. You're talking about people that have to raise, even their fundamental financing from themselves and from financial institutions that are not very supportive. And they're talking about an art form that is vastly far more expensive to create.
So now, the basis of this is the finance.
It's not only the finance, it's also about the leadership. It's about the people at the helm of affairs. I'll give you a quick example because of lack of time.
All right.
California has no natural resources, right?
Yeah.
And yet it is one of the biggest financial centers of the universe.
Yeah.
How did it happen? It's the natural resources, it's the human resources, it's the gifts, the talents that make it what it is. Our people have neglected this fact for such a long time. If it's not oil and gas, if it's not real estate, if it's not even recently agriculture and the rest, if it has nothing to do with alternative energy, it is not viable.
Yeah,
we're late to the table. We have prepared this table a long time. We could have made this establishment one of the biggest. Our content is one of the highest, not of quality, of quantity.
Yes,
right?
quantity.
And at the end of the day, if the government regulated right laws and stand by its gifted people and its young persons, do you know how far this industry would have gone? It is just sad what it is. Even the Afrobeat you spoke about, these are guys that found their voices all by themselves. They chartered their courses all by themselves. It just so happened because it's an easier, I'm not saying easier, but it's a relatively, less cumbersome less complicated art form to manage. It seems seamless.
Okay.
Ours is different, vastly different.
Your father is a herbalist. What did you say?
We mentioned how you have moved from this to that to this, and now I'm hoping and expecting that over time we're going to be getting more movies from you, just like Bad Comments, and on bigger, larger scales, right? So is there any way that you plan to be intentional? I know that recently Kemi Adetiba, was it Kemi Adetiba or somebody who was supposed to get nominated for the Oscars in a way or somehow, but then they disqualified the movie because it didn't have a lot of... Yeah, it was Genevieve. Thank you. It was Genevieve for... they disqualified it because it didn't have a lot of native language in it. So now
there's a foreign language category.
Yeah. So they are saying that Nigerian movies would not qualify for these things if the language they speak is not.
But may I say something in defense of myself?
Yes.
I'm the one that sits here, so the narrative is about me. If Grammy come, I'm happy. If
Oscars come.
I'm going to come in there. If Oscars come, I'm happy. But the idea of it, these things don't validate me as a creative. Okay, it has never been. Our stories are different. Our mode of telling is different. Our projections, our trajectory, and life and vision and purpose is different. I will not allow a foreign entity to define who I am as a creative. That's not who I am. Sometimes when you sit down, when you listen to some of the Kanye quotes, you think this guy's totally crazy. This guy's flushing down Oscars down the toilet. This guy is totally, defacing, artifacts, and no, it's not necessary. Seriously, a lot of people think it's like that. I think he's the future. He's the person that's totally defined. He doesn't want to be caged. He doesn't want to be boxed. Somebody created the content, a beautiful one at that.
Yeah.
And then she's told that the restrictions because she can only fit into the language, the foreign category, in order for her to gain recognition. And then you come and tell me, a Jamaican, that what I've created over time, that my people walk into a cinema they love, has to have some sort of definity. It has to have a frame of reference for you to validate it, and then they make me valuable as an artist, as a creative. That's not I function as water. I function as an artist. I flow where I want to flow. I define what I want to define. It's what I hold sway and what I define as the pivotal force, as the kinetics of how I operate and how I move.
Half of your social media followers are not your fans.
So some people have argued that this movie just might be promoting social media regulation. Do you have the fears that people might misinterpret it that way, or are you actually all out for social media regulation?
Well, no, I'm not all out. We have a spate of bad history for us as a nation, where government, the leadership woke up and decided to ban a whole platform just because they're not happy with it, and they are trying to force down our throat another similar platform that we don't want. Talk about taking away people's fundamental rights and voice, but that's not what this was all about. This is an art form. I'm an artist. We create, when we see a social ill or something we want to amplify or demystify, this is what we do. That's what filmmakers do.
Yeah.
This is a national discourse that a lot of people are now having at the proper, quarters. And we thought it's time to offer people perspective. It's time to offer people, force a conversation, and to bring it to bear that while this platform has created untold wealth and opportunities for so many people, it's also the platform that is the beehive of tragedy. Because some people have found it culturally cool to project hatred and poison in there. And and that's what I needed to do more than anything else. Did you know that between the ages of 15 to 19 have the most susceptible rates of suicide in the world, at up to the level of 77%?
Wow, quite
and
scary.
a chief rate of that whole data concentrates around the middle to low income earners, which is namely us.
Yeah.
This is the society they're referring to. people don't come up publicly to talk about this thing because you're castigated, you're seen as weak, or you're not, handling your affairs properly. So the more we link credence to this narrative, the more we give voices to the people that are going through mental health as a result of cyberbullying, and forcing them to live a rather disagreeable life just because you want to, how do you say, survive with the Joneses. The more we also state that this is a surreal word.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. It's a pseudo setting. It doesn't exist. It's a marketplace.
I agree.
Okay? Why do you want to go there and make it the full stool of your existence?
Doesn't make any sense.
It does not make any sense, and that's what backcoming is about.